everyone. A little introduction. I'm Molly Pettengill. I am the owner of Daisy May and Me. It's an online clothing business that is trying to change the way we dress ourselves and empowering us through our clothes rather than giving us impossible standards to live by. And I also am the creator of the Dear Daughter Workshop, which is a workshop for moms and daughters to work on them relationships with themselves and with each other. I am a big believer in relationships. I feel it's my purpose and mission to share about those things, not just relationships with each other, but with ourselves, with a higher being, with our bodies, with our possessions, you name it. The patterns of interactions that we have and behaviors with ourselves and with other people are what make up our life. And I believe that if we can establish healthy patterns of behavior, that we can live our best lives. And it's my purpose and mission to try to help spread that word. And so I could talk to you about how I've tried to find my purpose from a young age. I kind of attribute that probably to my church because there's a big emphasis on individual purpose. And I've always had that feeling, but it started pretty young too. At my teenage years, I even called it the ministry of Molly. Because I felt like I had a purpose and an individual purpose. And that sounds so cheesy, but I would go and pray and say, okay, who am I supposed to minister today? Who am I supposed to help? And I felt that pretty young, and I still have. And so I feel like I've tried to live my purpose throughout my life, but I'm not going to go back. There's a particular time that I feel impressed to share of how I started my business that I think some of you might be able to relate to because it's a small process. And I actually wrote about this years before I even started my business or even giving this presentation. I kind of actually had this inner dialogue of what I would say to people about finding their purpose. I know that sounds silly, but I was on a run and that was just what was in my mind. And so part of this is, and I had the prompting to write it down. So part of what I share today is from my journal and how I have felt that our purpose is made up of small choices, just small choices that we make in our lives. That's what our life is made up, is just of choices. And I want to share a time in where one small choice made a difference, and it's kind of continued to help me. And that's when I just gave birth to my fourth kid, and we moved a week later. So I was in this new house in a new area. My husband was at work. I had my 4 kids, my newborn, and I was on the only spot in our house that was available, which was on the couch. And then it was just boxes everywhere. And I just remember being so overwhelmed. Here I was in a new area. I didn't know anyone. I had to unpack all this house. We didn't even have a TV. And I had to entertain my kids somehow. And it was 107 outside, so I couldn't send them outside. And I'd feed my baby. And I was just in tears on this couch, thinking, what am I going to do? I can't do all this. This is impossible. And I was feeling pretty frustrated and down. And I remember getting a distinct thought. And it was, do you see that box right there? That one box? Just open that one box. And I kind of sighed and put my baby down, went to that box, opened it, and unpacked it. And it led me to open another one, and another one, and another one. And eventually I was unpacking the house, and it was still frustrating. I had to stop every 3 hours to feed my baby or distract my kids, and it was still super messy, but I was doing it, and I knew that I was doing it, and it felt good. And eventually I did. I unpacked that whole house, and I made it more of a home. And it was something that just kind of stuck with me. Of just open that one box. And I'm going to share with you some boxes that came into my life later that I wasn't really willing to unpack. And that was my business. So I remember shopping one day, and I was looking for a particular style of dress, and it happened to have a woman's name. And I thought, why did they name that dress that? Wouldn't it be cool if we named it after like someone inspiring, like Rosa Parks, so that when we wore it, we'd be like, oh, I want to be brave like Rosa Parks. And it would empower us. And I thought, that was a cool idea. That would be a cool business. But of course, I'm not going to start that business, but that would be cool if we could do that. And that little box was there, and it was just nagging at me all the time. I could see it with my name written on it, but I just ignored it, and I would just tiptoe around it in my mind all the time because I didn't have time for that. I was a mom with so much on her plate, and we just moved, and there's no way. And so I just ignored it. And then a couple weeks later, I was in my bathroom getting ready for church, and I had a dress on, and my daughter came in and she said, "Mom, why'd you wear that dress?" And I don't remember what I told her, but she said, "Well, can I pick out your dress? Because I like this one. It's more pretty." And I kind of went through this tailspin of like, oh, do I look fat in this? I just had a baby. Oh, is this not the right dress? Can my 7-year-old even tell? And it was just this nagging inner dialogue. And I thought, man, it's so painful that I go through this all the time when I get dressed. Why do I do this to myself? I don't want my daughter to do that. And a little thought popped back up, well, you could change that for her if you did your business. And I still pushed it aside. He was like, yeah, that's impossible. I remember telling my husband about the idea, and he was like, cool. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I could do it. And I thought, oh, he would have pushed me if I was supposed to. That's not how it works. It's my own box, not his. And so I just ignored it again. And I went about doing things, and it would pop up. It would wake me up sometimes. But I would just ignore it because I didn't have time for that. And then one day I was on the phone with a good friend who's my age and who has 4 kids too. She happened to actually give birth to our last baby in the hospital, and 2 weeks later her husband died in the hospital of cancer. And so here she was, a widow with 4 kids in another state, and I just really wanted to help her, and I couldn't. And I was so mad that I didn't have the means to help her. And another idea popped up. You could help her and a lot of women like her if you started your business. And wouldn't it be cool if you could say, this shirt not only helps you go be brave like someone else, but also can support a woman in need. And it was that final straw that it was just too heavy. I just knew I needed to unpack that box. And so I slowly went and took the small choices and steps to make a business. And it was messy and it was hard, and I had to stop to take care of my other purpose and need in my family. But I did it, and it happened. And I would love to say, well, I am completely at home, just like I was when I unpacked all the boxes, and all my boxes are unpacked. But that's not how it works. And I know that's not how it works. You have to continue. Just a year into my business, I got the idea of doing a workbook for me and my daughter to correspond back and forth like a journal. And I wanted to make sure that it was used right, and I wanted to get moms and daughters, and I knew moms and daughters were losing time together, and I wanted them to have more time together. And so this idea for a workshop came to my mind, but I was already drowning with my business. There's no way I could start a workshop. And yet I eventually unpacked that box slowly, and I did it, and it has been the best experience, and it has truly been part of my purpose. And I just want to say that our life is a life of stages. It's not like, it's just like our home. When we unpack it, our home changes according to our needs. When we have little kids, there's going to be little kid things in our homes. But as we get older and our kids get older, our house changes. And that's how our purpose is. It's changing all the time, and it's never complete. I don't feel it's ever complete. I'm always seeing boxes that, or purpose that I'm supposed to do. And so if you feel like, well, that's not the stage for me, I can promise you that there are ways that you can fulfill your purpose in the stage that you're in. I promise you can. You just have to identify how you can do that. And I believe that we all have our own individual purpose. My boxes are my boxes. They're clearly labeled Molly, Ministry of Molly, right there. And no one can unpack it for me. And of course, there's going to be people doing maybe what we think, oh, well, they're already doing it, so I don't need to. That's not how it works. You have a specific purpose and a specific realm of influence of people that you are meant to fulfill. And no one can do that. And no one can unpack your boxes. And you can ignore them like I did, but they will eventually get heavy, and it will feel suffocating that you're not fulfilling that purpose. But as we unbox those purposes as they come, we feel more at home. And it's a feeling that it's such a good feeling. And even though life is messy and it's still hard and we still have to organize ourselves, you have a sense of purpose in it, and it makes it so much better. And I want everyone to experience that. And I know everyone has in probably little ways, because there's some purposes you can't ignore and you just do. But I know that everyone has some that we're trying to ignore because they feel overwhelming and hard. But as we identify, and that's the beauty, as we unpack one or two, we just are easily able to identify which ones come next. And I'm still in the process. I'm still unboxing my purpose, but my life is made up of choices. And I'm trying to choose to unpack each time, just slowly. It's just that one box. And your purpose is right now. See that box? Just open that box. And I just know that that's important for all of us to do. And I've just been so grateful to find that purpose myself. And I love that I get to share it with other people. I'm really blessed in my purpose that it provides me the opportunity to see it actually happen, to see people wearing the shirts that I designed after inspirational women. I got to see a woman, I got to see a woman who came and bought some clothes from me kneel down to her daughter eye to eye and say, "Hey, we bought some new clothes for kindergarten so you can be brave like the women they're named after." And it hit me real big then. And it's just and when I get to do the workshops and I see the women and their daughters learning to love themselves and each other, it's a joy you can't find. And it's all that hard work and that messy middle that really makes me feel at home with myself and my purpose. And it's hard work, but it's worth it. And I'm grateful that I've had this inclination all my life to try to find my purpose. I am, because it makes me be conscious of it every day, and it allowed me to not ignore those boxes for too long. And if you feel heavy, like you have some boxes that you have not unpacked, I really, really want you to just take a look at one of them and open them. Just that one. See that box?